I am Hyun-Yong Kim, and I served as the president of the Fisheries Economic Institute under the NFFC until last year. There are many differences between agriculture and fishery because of the clear geographical difference between land and sea. However, both are very important food industries for people because they create food from nothing and provide it to the people. You may think all industries are production industries. However, manufacturing and service industries are secondary industries that use products produced by primary industries such as agriculture and fishery and add technology and labor to increase added value. If there is no production from agriculture and fishery, there cannot be any secondary industries related to them. In this regard, I call agriculture and fishery fundamental production industry and emphasize their importance. Those who listen to this lecture are experts in agriculture, which is a little different from the fishery industry. Still, if you enhance your understanding of the fishery, which belongs to the production industry, you can benchmark some parts of the Korean fishery industry for Cambodian agriculture. The introduction got a little longer because I need to explain the importance of the fishery industry. Now let's move on to the topic. The topic of this lecture is the distribution structure and issues of the Korean fishery industry. Let's first look at the contents. I will explain the current state of the Korean fishery industry first, the fisheries distribution structure, and then issues in fisheries distribution. The Korean fishery industry has undergone many changes over the past 40 years. Major changes and difficulties are the change in the fishery production structure, the decline in the relative industrial scale, the continuous decline of the fishing population, and the aging of the fishing village population. Let's take a look one by one. First is changes in the fishery production structure. Except for deep-sea fishery, Korea used to have more production from the fishing vessel fishery than the cultivating fishery until 2005 if you look at the fishery production. However, from 2006, the production of agriculture started to outpace that of fishing vessel fishery. This is due to the reduction of fishing grounds due to the Korea-Japan and Korea-China fisheries agreement and decreased fishery resources due to environmental changes. Also, overfishing is a major cause of decreased production because too many fishing vessels try to increase the production more than the potential production of fishery resources. In 2000, agricultural production accounted for 26% with 653,000 tons, but in 2021 it increased by 3.7 times to 2,398,000 tons, accounting for 63% of the total production. Like this, the fishery production structure has changed from a fishing vessel-centered fishery to an agricultural-centered fishery. Accordingly, government policies on agriculture have become even more important. For example, in 2008, the government introduced the accident insurance for cultured fishery products, which compensates for damage caused by natural disasters to agricultural products. Next is the decline in the relative industrial scale. I use the word relative because the absolute scale of the fishery industry has continuously grown, but other industries such as the manufacturing and service industries have grown larger as society has advanced, and the relative proportion of the fishery industry has decreased accordingly. In other words, the fishery industry is still important. As of 2021, the amount of fishery production is KRW 9.2692 trillion. It accounts for 0.4% of Korea's GDP. It has decreased significantly compared to 2.3% in 1970. If you look at the numbers only, the decreased share of the fishery industry tends to result in decreased awareness of the fishery industry's importance to the general public. However, because the fishery industry has plural functions, its importance is still big and permanent. Third, the number of fishing households and fishermen is continuously decreasing. In fact, as society develops, the proportion of primary industries such as agriculture and fishery tends to decrease. Along with the development of the industries, many jobs are created, and you can easily change your jobs that pay more and have a better working environment in other industries. Thus, the decline of the fishing population itself is not a big concern. Still, there must be enough fishermen to sustain the fishery, and too rapid decline can be an issue. Compared to 1990, the number of fishermen decreased by 81% in 2021 and by 63% compared to 2000. According to Korea's official statistics, there are only 94,000 fishermen in 2021, less than 100,000. Since this figure includes students and children who are not engaged in fishing, the actual number of fishermen is smaller. Next, the aging of fishing villages has intensified. Looking at the number of fishermen by age, those in their 60s or older account for 58.4% in 2021. Young fishermen under the age of 50 accounts for 23.5% only. As mentioned earlier, people engaged in the primary industry inevitably decreased due to industrial development, but the aging of the remaining fishermen is a bigger issue. So, the Korean government is providing a lot of support for young people in cities to move to rural areas and get engaged in agricultural and fishery. So far, we have studied several important changes taking place in fishing villages in Korea. The fishery and fishing villages have important plural functions and provide public interest to the people at no cost, so they must be protected at all times. The fishery industry and fishing villages have primary functions like stable production of fishery products, a guarantee of food safety, promotion of public health, and management of fishery resources. These are intrinsically important functions to sustain the fishery. In addition to this, the existence of fishery and fishing villages is creating plural or public interest functions. The nation and its people are enjoying the benefits of its plural functions for free without paying any additional cost. The secondary functions include providing a living foundation and job opportunities for fishermen, defending the maritime land, contributing to maintaining traditional culture and discovering undersea cultural assets, preserving nature and managing coastal waters, promoting balanced use of the land, fishing village tourism, and psychological functions. The government has been implementing various policies to support the fishery industry because the fishery and fishing villages should be sustained because of their public interest and functions. Next, let's look at the distribution flow of fishery products in Korea. The fisheries distribution is largely divided into the distribution of fresh fish caught in the near coast and the distribution of cultured fishery, which has dramatically expanded as we saw earlier. Most of the fish caught by fishing vessels on the near coast die while being caught, so they are distributed as fresh fish. About 82% of fishermen forward fresh fish on consignment to the consignment market operated by the fisheries cooperatives, and about 18% of fishermen sell it to other wholesalers. The consignment sale means that a producer entrusts the sale to the cooperative they organized, the NFFC. In the middle stage, 40% is sold to the local traditional market or similar wholesale market, and 20% to the wholesale market in consumption areas, the legally designated wholesale market. These days, large retailers such as marts and department stores are developed enough to sell a large amount of up to 35%. The distribution of cultured fish, mostly live fish, is less dependent upon the system released through the consignment market of the NFFC. Fresh fish must be distributed quickly to maintain freshness, and the consignment market of the NFFC can handle a large amount, so many fishermen use the consignment market. In the case of live fish, you can adjust the release amount and time by consulting with your clients, so there are more individual sales called off-system release. For cultured live fish, the system release accounts for 28% and off-system release accounts for 72%. Most of the live fish traded in the production area are delivered to the dealers, and about 67% goes to the similar wholesale market, which has voluntarily created to supply the live fish as sashimi ingredients in the metropolitan area. Only 4% goes to the legally designated wholesale market to the consumption areas. Later, 13% is shipped to large retailers and 57% to general retailers. Overall, 93% is delivered to domestic consumers for final consumption and 7% is exported. Now let's take a look at the consignment market, which occupies the most important position in fishery product distribution. The consignment market is a trading place established and operated by the local fisheries cooperatives in production areas with the government's fund support. It can handle a large volume of products at once, and the NAFF deposits sale proceeds into a bank account in cash without any credit, making the transaction safe. Instead, a producer pays 4% to 4.8% of the sales commission to a fisheries cooperative. This sale commission allows you to safely receive the transaction amount, which is paid immediately in cash and makes the transaction quick and convenient. The consignment process is divided into 6 stages. The first is the unloading stage, which leaves products at a port when a fishing vessel brings them. In the second stage, you sort products by size and place them in a package units. In the third displaying stage, fishery products are divided by size and by producer. The fourth stage is the auction, in which products are sold through a competitive sale to gathered middlemen. In the fifth repackaging stage, fishery products purchased through the auction are packaged again in a suitable quantity and size for distribution and sales in consumption areas. In the last stage, we distribute the repackaged products to consumption areas. Currently, there are 213 consignment markets in Korea. The offshore fishery has been witnessing a decrease in fresh fish that is mainly sold through consignment sales, so the operation of the consignment market faces many difficulties like losses. By region, Gyeongnam and Gyeongnam with many islands and fishermen show a high proportion of 24.9% and 23.5% respectively. If you look at the building age of consignment markets, 35.7% were built within 10 years and 39.5% were built over 21 years ago. Since the consignment market is closely related to the freshness of fresh fish, markets should handle products quickly and are equipped with low temperature storage. However, as domestic production is declining, remodeling into a modern facility is not easy due to cost and future use. The ratio of the quantities sold on consignment through NFFC's consignment market in the total production is called the system sales rate. The system sales ratio fell from 92.3% in 1980 to 45.9% in 2020 in terms of quantity, and the system sales ratio fell from 82.6% in 1980 to 62.5% in 2020 in terms of amount. The system sales were mandatory until 1997 and stipulated by the law. After 1997, it has been changed so that fishermen can freely sell through their own network without entrusting them to the consignment market. It is called the free sale system, but there are many cases where producers do not receive sale proceeds due to the free sale. Still, the change in the sales system resulted in a significant drop in the system sales rate. The consignment market operates by item. If you divide current consignment markets by item, the fresh fish consignment market accounts for the most at 58.7%. The fresh fish takes up the most in the system sales and is traded in large quantities, and its freshness needs to be maintained through prompt trade. That's why there are a lot of consignment markets for it. The next is live fish, which accounts for 22.1%. The live fish does not require freshness maintenance through prompt sales and has a small number of transactions. Also, dried fish, salted seafood, and frozen products tend to be traded intensively in a specific region, thus there are not many markets. If you look at the trade amount of the consignment market by size, consignment markets with transaction amounts of W 10 to 20 billion account for the most at 29.6%. The consignment market with W 1 to 5 billion accounts for 18.4%. The consignment market with W 5 to 10 billion accounts for 17.3%. 10 consignment markets have transaction worth W 100 billion or more, accounting for 5.6%. Also, there are small consignment markets with transaction amounts of less than W 100 million. The NFFC operates consignment markets with transaction amounts of less than W 5 billion to help producers and fishermen despite an operating deficit. Next, let's look at the status of the wholesale market. The wholesale market is the sales facility in the consumption area that corresponds to the consignment market in the production area. In the production area, transactions are made centered on the consignment market established by the NFFC. Like this, transactions in the consumption area are made in the wholesale market. The mayor and governor have the right to establish the fisheries wholesale market in the consumption areas. We have 17 public wholesale markets for fishery products in Korea. The Garak wholesale market in Seoul is the largest in size and transaction volume. Along with the public wholesale market, there are two legally designated general wholesale markets. So, fishery products are traded in these 19 wholesale markets in the consumption areas. The wholesale market has many actors like wholesale market corporations, joint markets, and market wholesalers. The wholesale market corporations have the largest number of transactions, accounting for 64.9% of the total transaction amount in 2020. If you look at the transaction system of the wholesale market, shippers including fishermen, local distributors, and importers entrust the sale of products to wholesale market corporations or joint markets. The wholesale market corporation connects a shipper and intermediary wholesaler so that the shipper can sell products to an intermediate wholesaler through an auction or bidding. Shippers can also sell directly to a trading entity called a market wholesaler without going through a wholesale market corporation. The transaction system of the wholesale market refers to the system among wholesale market corporations, intermediary wholesalers, and market wholesalers. Fishery products go through several distribution stages, such as auctions in the consignment market in production areas and auctions in the wholesale market in consumption areas. Because of this complicated multi-level transaction, where middlemen take up a lot of profits, it is often criticized for raising the price of fishery products. However, many distribution experts argue that multi-level transaction is inevitable in that each distributor plays a role in dispersing the price risk caused by decreasing the freshness of fishery products. Looking at the transaction trend in the wholesale market, the transaction volume has been going down since 2012. But the transaction amount is stagnant or slightly going up due to an increase in unit price. In 2012, the transaction volume was 429,500 15 tons with the transaction amount of KRW 1.39 trillion. In 2020, the transaction volume decreased by 26.2% and the transaction amount increased by 12% to 307,114 tons and KRW 1.56 trillion. Let's look at the proportion of fisheries traded through the wholesale market in Korea's consumption. Transactions through the wholesale market have been declining since peaking at 10.9% in 2011. In 2019, it decreased to 6.1%, and this decrease was greatly influenced by large retailers such as large marts and department stores. Also, as domestic consumption increases, fishery products equivalent to domestic production are imported. Since imported products do not go through the wholesale market, the proportion of transactions in the wholesale market has been decreasing. The issues related to fishery distribution in Korea can be divided into 6 categories. They are standardization of fishery products, improving hygiene and safety of the fishery market, marketing capacity building of the fishery market, electronic auction house and online transaction, modernizing the fishery market, and establishing the cold chain. Standardization of fishery products has been a long-term goal. Fishery products vary in size and easily lose their freshness, so standardized trading is very difficult. Still, to increase transaction efficiency and reduce transaction costs, we have strived to standardize the transactions. The safety of fishery products is a recurring issue that comes up every season. Food poisoning in summer, norovirus in winter, and shellfish toxin every season. Producers, the NFFC, and the government are doing their best to guarantee the safe consumption of consumers. Marketing capacity building of the fishery market is related to the increase in seafood consumption. Young people these days tend to avoid seafood because its fishy smell and difficulty in cooking, even though seafood is a healthy food with a lot of protein. Since the increase in seafood consumption is directly related to the health of the people, the government is also promoting consumption through price support. The fishery market has enhanced its marketing capacity to promote the advantages of seafood compared to other food. The electronic auction house and expansion of online transactions are also emerging as recent issues. We can reduce transaction costs through efficient auctions and reduce distribution stages by expanding direct transactions in the online space so that both producers and consumers can benefit from the price change. However, it is still difficult because standardization of fishery products, e-auction, and online transactions are not easy for the same reasons. Modernizations of the fishery market is linked to improving consumer access and consumption. In production areas, the consignment market should be clean, hygienically safe, and equipped with facilities capable of low temperature processing to maintain freshness. In consumption areas, we need to create a pleasant market environment that consumers can easily access. The NFFC transformed the 40-year-old traditional Noryangjin seafood market into a modernized seafood wholesale market, making consumers feel friendly and visit more often. Cold chain is to enable low temperature processing to keep freshness throughout the entire distribution process. Low temperature processing is now quite possible thanks to the development of storage processes and transportation vehicles, but the processing upon consignment is still difficult in the consignment market and wholesale market. This is because there are many consignment markets with just roofs and not separated from the outside. When we newly establish a consignment market or modernize previous ones, we build a low temperature processing facility together, and the government also supports this. Export accounts for a lot in the fishery distribution along with domestic consumption. Because the fishery products are food just like agricultural products, they should go through the quarantine process according to the food hygiene law of that country. In the case of general goods, you conduct the overseas market research, sign the export contract, negotiate the method of payment, agree on the transportation and insurance, clear customs, and collect the payment. However, because fishery products are exported in the form of frozen or live fish, there is a quarantine process which is especially difficult and takes a long time. Let's look at the quarantine process for the import and export of fishery products. You first warehouse products in the quarantine enforcement place and submit the quarantine application by visiting a regional branch of the NFQS or sending e-applications to it. There are 3 types of inspections: document review, clinical inspection, and close-up inspection. In the document review, the appropriateness of export is reviewed through the application form and attached documents. The clinical inspection examines swimming, behavior, and external anatomical findings comprehensively, and the close-up inspection conducts histopathologically and molecular biological analysis. The quarantine inspection result comes out after 3 inspections. When you pass it, the quarantine certificate is issued for export. When exporting fishery products to Japan and USA, you need to go through a particularly strict quarantine process. Let's take the example of Japan to see its import and export process. You need to check Japanese hygiene regulations, prepare import declaration documents, and make Japanese labels. Then you should submit the shipment information and declare import, load products, and send customs documents and ship them to Japan. When products arrive, they go through customs clearance and quarantine inspections to be distributed in Japan. Korea still faces many difficulties like standardization and cold chain. Freshness management becomes more important, especially when distributing fishery products in areas with high average temperatures such as Cambodia. The key to freshness management is the speed of distribution and low temperature processing during storage and transportation. In particular, prompt transaction and low temperature processing during mass auctions will emerge as essential issues in the long term. Exporting to countries with large seafood consumption like USA and Japan can serve as a key sales channel to develop Cambodia's fishery industry. To pass the import-export process of these countries, freshness management becomes even more important in distribution. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you very much.